Hello, this is Gerald Tuovawas. I have already made a video with or about gay, but I couldn't. In the end, I couldn't remember the word anymore when I saw it somewhere in a text. I forgot how to pronounce it. I forgot what it meant, even when I made already a video about it. And that's strange, which means also for me that I didn't do it very well, that I didn't have the trick to remember the word better. And so I will redo the video for several reasons. Lately I also saw that a lot of my files were not even stored well. This file, for instance, the PowerPoint, there was without a video, so it wasn't even saved well, which is all kind of weird things there on my computer happening with things disappearing and so on. I don't care at this moment, but I have to redo it. I think I owe it to give it a good context, to remember a word. Some people just remember them by learning them from by heart. My memory doesn't work like that. Only when I understand it completely and when I can place it somewhere, I can remember it. It's even the same with names. If the names don't have a significance to the person with a real placement of its own that works on its own, I will have a trouble to remember these names. The same with words. So I really have to have a foundation that gives it a livable context. Otherwise, I don't remember it. And probably I didn't gave it enough associations to remember it well. I also have my own theory about sounds, where the sounds are, and they give it a meaningfulness. In this case, probably it's not meaningful enough, so I didn't do it well enough, so I'll redo it for this purpose. And of course, I will place every word of the sounds themselves into the positions, and these positions are also your positions of attention. It's also part of the memory, because the memory doesn't just focus upon objects with a fixed thing. It's also these fixed things, which could be definitions, are also things that are not understood at that point. The definitions themselves have to have a behaviorism, so they go to somewhere, they behave somewhere, so they also conditions. So that part is the second level, also for words. That is important to remember them. Where are they going to? What are the conditions to reach them? That's the main focus of the Chinese words. They give it already in the sounds and in the character, especially in the character, a position which says these are the conditions, and that's how you have to approach it in conditions. Different from our Roman letter-based languages, but that maybe I will make an extra video about how we start in language with the differences, for instance, I and you and so on. I will do that in the next video. But the mentality in general is that and how it works, how words work and become livable, is that they are not just a definition, because this could be a wrong definition, it could be a limited definition. They also have to go somewhere with certain conditions. Only when the conditions meet, it's just not only my opinion, it's also your opinion. And when that's so, it becomes a general rule. There comes a general rule behind it, which also says, okay, we can use it now or at some other time, or with some adaptation. This is the context. This is the real context when we can use it all the time. And only when you have these three levels, you understand the words on all levels, and you will also understand it as a living thing. Otherwise, it's just dead material. You won't remember it well, and maybe after some time, you will have forgotten it. When you really want to keep a talent, every talent is about movement. It's already the second position, a movement within the context and the kind of behavior that learns you how to behave, how we have to behave towards it, and adapt to it at all times is that kind of context that we need. The letters that we use to express words are also with an emphasis on one of these three levels. So maybe we are more focused upon this first starting a definition or going somewhere to meet the conditions, or also look at the conditions in the environment, the temporal conditions, its real context. All of these emphases have their own letters and letter system, and our letter system and sounds system base themselves upon these levels. It's the same with frequencies. It's higher frequency, the lower frequencies, like in A, they keep it low. They are the basics and so on. The higher frequencies, like the E, you can also see that it there, and that's how it also fits with that behaviorism on that level. I can theorize a lot more. I can speak for a longer time about that, why it is so, and also in frequencies, but that's not the thing that I'm going to do now. I was going to focus on this word, how you can remember it. At the same time, I also talk about how you can remember words better by having these three contexts together. But first we have the character. There's a dualism in every Chinese character. The dualism is the character, how it has been written, and then the pronouncement, how it has been used. And both of them not only give the conditions with the character, how you have to behave towards it, but also then together with the sounds and together with the context as well. In combination with that, you know where to use it, how to use it, and so on. So the sounds alone will not tell you, they will tell you something, but you won't have an idea what it is about. So the main importance, the first importance, is actually the script itself first. And gay is I have the first association here to give, but it is wider than that, and I will first go and analyze what is this character about? How does this character, where does this character comes from? And it's already a very good thing to see that it's not just something abstract and you have to remember it. No, it has something meaningful. So it's very good to have the meaningfulness enriched. You can even enrich it further, but I give it already some thought that can be used to remember it. So the characters, what they mean, I have to go there first. And there's already an association that you can make. Oh yes, I can recognize two characters here. One character is a reference point to the wires of silk, which bring forth material, of course, that it brings forth material. And silk is, of course, the foundation, very foundation of the Chinese trade routes and so on, which were still called the Silk Routes, which gave a prosperous society and an economic prosperous society, which is one of the foundations how it's built up, also the whole economic system as well. It has a certain value which was reserved to who was who had the control about it and who also divided what was going to be done with it. And the system of how also money and taxes and so on was used is very much like it was also in Europe. So like you have this 1/10 that we had in Europe, the 1/10 taxes, which meant that there was someone who controlled the area, and the people who worked there, who could work there and could live there, they also had to give 1/10 to the protector, who also was protector with soldiers and all the things, and they also organized how these things were. That was how it used to be in Europe, the 1/10 rule. Nowadays in my country we have 50% taxes, plus taxes on everything that we do, and even if we inherited it, so it's a worse time than before. But nevertheless, it was a generous provision that 1/10 was reserved, and it was in benefit of the person who was also a bit more responsible for what was going on. And that idea of 1/10, this division, is also recognized in the second part, which was Gür, also known as Gür, the classifier, which already is a reference to the calculation, but how many parts, how shall I divide it? The idea of that. And H, with the H already into it, is that provision, you provide it because it's also beneficial to do so. With the H, it's like a connotation of agreement in this whole system, which tells you how much it is. And you can see the number 1 there, and that goes to the full picture of where it has been used. It's the general field of the working field, which will be which will take out that one part out of 10. And that's a good idea to remember already. You have something already to remember, so that's great. And now we go to give it even more context by associating it with the sounds. That the sounds also tell you how you have to behave towards this principle. And the sounds that are used is G, G-E-E, A and I, sorry. The 3 letters that are written down there with a dependency towards the E. The A is there in the sound as well, so the dependency in A towards E. And what is the G part coming there? So that is about the context. The E is about the timing, so how you have to behave there. And the E again is that context which will be inserted in the end. The insertion, which is the application of the last part, of course. But I will go deeper into detail So we have, but before I do that, it is actually quite good to understand that to gay is quite close to gain, and also so there are 2 parts. There's someone who gives and someone who receives. The giving or allowing it to create this beneficial division is going to be in benefit to someone, to gain someone. Gay is without the N, like in gain. The N itself as a sound is always about receiving something that we can use. So it's without the thing itself. So without that it has been filled in. But the mentality already from gay, the engagement, as you have in a word as well, is already there. There's an engagement involved, how you give an order there. So that's already a good association that you can make there. The letters themselves of G, A and I could also be remembered well in the character. So the G, which comes from above, from what is bigger, is that silk trade and silk economy, let's say, that brings it down to material. The E is that certain period, and the E is that insertion, which is not there yet. So what is inserted, how much, and so on, that will be decided in the end, how much there is. That can be filled in. That's what the E is about. I'll go to each letter separately, how you have to associate it, what it is about, and that's thanks to this system of balance that I have in the background, that you can understand and learn to understand where each position of letters is about. It's always about the same kinds of things, of starting points. There are different starting points, as I said, into these 3 positions. or 3 levels of position. So we start with the G, whereas the G in the system, it's in the third position of the third level. The third level is about context. The first letter is about the starting to find in the first level, also always about a starting point in space. So it's starting, the Q is starting to find a starting point in space. The other one is starting, the V is about starting to, is finding what is working from within as material that you can use in space, so that you can find the context. The last letter, the G, is about the ending, the third level of the first the first level of the third category. It is about the limits, about the edges. So where you will find it, you will find a reference point related with space, which you can only find in context and at the limits. So it is in the background, far away, and there you will find the connection points to G, which actually mostly is about things that are bigger, behind the scenes, the space behind the scenes, that kind of thing. So it is about spaces and rooms and also connections to what you want to place somewhere, which is behind the scenes, which is bigger than you, so you don't have much control in it. That's the kind of G. That's how the G can be associated and understood. So remember that. You have it as a representation. It is understandable in this way. The next letter, the E, is in the middle position, so it's about timings. It's in the middle from the middle position, so it is about timing the timings, which is always in two parts. So it is about first an engagement to time something, which of course will work itself out as well. So it is working itself out after having given the engagement into it. This engagement makes it develop over a certain time. That's about the timing. And the last letter is the E, which is inserting it or inserting it anywhere. So they're always about the option of 3 positions. It's inserting it. It can be put in the middle, G, E, E, can be put in the middle. So I'm inserting it, and I'm also inserting it into my personal space, into a space I can use. I will find each context is the first letter, E, the starting point in context. In the last part, where I will find my context. It's the last, in the last level, I will find its context. So it is also saying, I know its context, I find its context, and I agree, and I will put it in. I'm inserting the correct position and balance. So can you understand it then in its totality just by the sounds alone? Yes, you should be. So it starts, or it comes from space where it is decided elsewhere what the context, how the context works. It involves itself via timings in an engagement that you use towards it, and it results in finding its context, which will also be provided, of course, there, where it also will be received by someone in this case. And the characters itself help a little bit, because they say, okay, it is indeed decided via the Silk Route rules. I engage it and I open it. That's the R, and how the persons involved is the opening towards what is engaged there. Then where you engage it in the working field. This is the blue part as well. It's the working field, the basic working field onto which you engage the definitions, the things, the objects, and there this idea can be inserted and can be provided. I hope you understand this case. So it's a bit like to gain, but to gain has also the letter N, so it is also about what you gain. Here, no, it's the engagement which directs you towards what is needed to provide it somewhere via your engagement. And I hope that is also already a better way to remember the word gay as a word, and how we can remember it well in what it means, how it looks like, all these kind of things. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.